Here's a quick intro to chapters 2.1 to 2.2. In this chapter, Caesar introduces a few new names. He also talks the Helvetians want to leave their homeland. First, we're going to start off looking at some names of people that appear in this chapter. The first name is Orgetorix. Orgetorix, like a Roman name, does it? By the way, you should make sure you know how to say it, Orgetorix. He is a Helvetian leader who appears briefly in Caesar's account. Two other names that appear briefly are gentlemen named Massala and Piso, and in the text, they both have the abbreviation M in front of them. That's because the abbreviation M meant Marcus. So they didn't want to write the whole thing, they would just say M, and everybody knew that M stood for Marcus. So Marcus Massala and Marcus Piso. Now, Caesar uses these phrases to talk about the exact date in which something happens, and that's because the Romans didn't refer to things by the year 1978 or anything like that, but instead they would talk about when events happened during the consulship of two people. Remember, they had two consuls at a time, so you could say, oh, in the year that these two guys were consul, that's when all this stuff happened. So apparently they kept track and they knew exactly when things happened according to who was in charge at that time. Okay, this chapter does feature an indirect statement, which is kind of new for you, so I wanted to make sure we review this concept again. An indirect statement is usually introduced by a verb like dicit. He says, and it's where you're talking about what someone else says. So let's try. Caesar says that the teacher praises the students. Discipulos laudare. Dicit magistram discipulos laudare. So our main verb is the he says part. The indirect statement is here. Notice that the subject of the indirect statement, magistram, is in the accusative case, and the verb is not a normal verb with a regular ending, but rather an infinitive. The name for an indirect statement, the other name for it, is the accusative infinitive construction, and that's because the main subject is in the accusative case, the verb is in the infinitive, and the Romans would just understand that. He says that the teacher praises the students. So the Roman would expect an indirect statement when they see or hear the verb dicit. However, depending on the context of what's going on in the story, sometimes this verb would be omitted. If the reader would, for some reason, expect to be hearing about what someone else is saying or thinking, then the author might just completely omit that verb and jump straight into accusative infinitive construction. Caesar does that in sentence 93, 94-ish. You'll recognize it because all of a sudden there is no dicit, but you're in accusative infinitive because you have an accusative and an infinitive running around for no apparent reason. So keep your eye out for that.